Thank you all for coming. I have a couple of quick checklist items. If you have any, this is a moderated forum, so if you have any questions, please use the index cards on the tables. If you need more, we'll pass that or paper out and just send them forward, and we will ask the questions of the candidates. For the sake of serving time and not repeating questions, we will be going through the questions. If there's questions that are very similar, we will be combining the questions and asking it as one question so that we can get through a majority of the questions this evening. We're going to start the forum with each of the candidates doing an opening and giving information on themselves briefly. Then we'll move to the questions, and then at the end we will do a closing. So again, if you have any questions, please write them out, send them up to the table, and we will ask them. One last thing, we will be videotaping tonight, and I just need to read a disclaimer. As required by law, I need to advise those participating in this public forum that the forum is being videotaped by a party other than a Ramapo Central PTA council member and may be posted on social media. If this constitutes a problem for any of the candidates, please let us know.
No.
Are you guys all good?
Fine, sure.
Perfect. Okay.
All the time. Do they know how to do that?
You each will have 3 minutes to present yourselves. We will start with Mr. Darrell Frazier.
Thank you. I'd first like to start off by thanking the Ramapo Central PTA Council for giving us this opportunity to come and introduce ourselves and speak to all of you who have come out tonight. As you know, my name is Darrell Frazier, or if you don't know, I am a Sloatsburg resident where I've lived for the past 10 years. I was born in Queens, New York. However, I was raised in North Charleston, South Carolina. I come from a long line of educators where my mother was a high school English teacher in Charleston County. I graduated from Barnes Wilson High School, which is in North Charleston, South Carolina. I was raised on the importance of civic service. After my first year of college, my first professional career was a special education assistant teacher at North Charleston High School. I then transferred to study criminal justice at Palmer College, which is in Charleston, South Carolina. After studying a year and a half at Palmer, I transferred to the Criminal Justice Academy, where I attended in Columbia, South Carolina. After graduating from the academy, I joined North Charleston Police Department, where I worked for many years, and then transferred to Mount Pleasant Police Department in South Carolina. During those years, I was promoted through the ranks, ending up as inspector. While I was on the police force in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, I was the school liaison officer. I was the first DARE officer to be certified in the state of South Carolina. I also worked closely with the faculty and staff at the high schools and developed a criminal justice club on campus for the children. Currently, Currently, I'm employed at Mercedes-Benz corporate headquarters in Montvale, New Jersey, where I'm an executive referral manager in the advocacy department. I have, while in the community of Sloatsburg, I've kind of hit the ground running. As I stated, I love community service. I am currently a trustee at the Sloatsburg Public Library and also chair of the Sloatsburg Downtown Revitalization Committee. Both these have given me a great opportunity to shape the community with character in itself. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, Mr. Paul Shapiro.
Hi, I'm Paul Shapiro. I've lived in Rockland County since 1973, but I've only lived in Suffern since October of 2015. But I've been fortunate enough to be the acting assistant principal at Suffern High School for an entire year. And last year I served as the interim principal at Montebello Elementary School while Teresa Ivy was having her second child. You're very fortunate. You live in a terrific district. I don't understand why there aren't large billboards saying how great Ramapo Central is, because it is. And I know that because I've been in education since 1970. It's a long, long time. How many of you were born after 1970. Don't raise your hands, you're not obligated to. The educational advantages that Ramapo Central has, it's really incredible. I've seen it, once again, both at the elementary level and also at the high school level. For 28 years, I was at Spring Valley High School, 15 years as a teacher, so I know what it's like to be in the classroom, and 13 years as the assistant principal in charge of guidance. I know what kids are like. They're no longer kids when they get to the middle school. Well, in a sense they are. But in high school, they are young men and women. It's a great transition to see them grow older. And I'm a parent as well. I have 2 daughters, and one of them is a teacher within the school district. So teaching is in her blood. It's in my blood. She gets it both from me and my wife, who was a pre-K teacher. I guess the best thing was seeing some of her pre-K students make it into Spring Valley High School. So we've known them since they were 4, and we saw them go through graduation. It would be an honor for me to serve on the board. The board has a responsibility to make policy. The board has a responsibility to continue the excellent education that the students get here, as well as to look into the future and to see how can we make it better, as good as it is. And it would be a great honor for me to work with the current board members and to have that tradition continue right into the future. I want to thank the PTA Council for having this forum, and thanks for inviting us here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Tongano.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I am Tom Donnelly. I am a resident of Ramapo Central since 1962. My family is 4th generation. My grandchildren will be 4th generation entering Ramapo Central. I know what a great district it is. I graduated, I opened up Suffern High School in 1972. It was my junior year. I attended this building. I went on to get a bachelor's degree at Mercy College, and I'm employed 40 years as a police officer. My last 17 years here at Suffern High School as the school resource officer. So I've worked with many of your children, the faculty, the administration, and I'm coming up to retirement, and I'm looking to keep my hand in the game, so to speak, and look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you all.
I'm going to be the timer. So.
Christine's going to time the answers, and each answer has a 2-minute time limit.
I'll give you like a 30-second.
So it's not going to be like the Oscars I was saying to this.
No, no music playing.
Music playing.
No, no music.
Unless it's specific. Okay,
Could
this
you
is
have
a
music
general
playing?
question, and we'll pose the first one to Tom. What qualities do you have that you feel makes you qualified for this position?
Well, as I stated, I am a graduate. I've been through here. My wife has been through here. My children have been through here. My grandchildren are coming through here. I know of the quality of education, and I want to continue that, working along with the future generations to come. Thank you.
Okay. The next question. Paul, please explain how your current volunteer activities will help you with your role as a trustee.
Okay. Currently, I'm not doing any volunteer work, but I am doing some consulting work with WISE Services. For those of you who have students in the high school or have students who will be coming into the high school, there is a program called WISE. It's an experiential program for seniors during their second semester. For those of you who have children who have gone through the system or seniors now, there's a thing called senioritis. Hopefully, it only hits in the senior year. For some students, it hits in the junior year, and for some, even in the sophomore year. But WISE allows students to explore things. So right now, I'm doing that consulting work, but I have volunteered in the past. I drove an ambulance for William P. Feist Ambulance Corps. I was a trustee of the Corps. I was a trustee at Beth Am Temple as well. I coached Ramapo Little League. I was an assistant coach for about four years while my grandson played, and he's now at the high school playing baseball. Except 2 weeks ago, he broke his right elbow, so his baseball season is done. But we're hoping that next year, when he's a junior and he'll be on varsity, we are hoping, and he'll be healthy and doing very well.
Thank you. Okay, Darrell, same question for you. Please explain how your current volunteer activities will help with your role as a trustee.
Alrighty, starting with being a trustee at the Sloatsburg Library. We right now work with basically the educational system. We are an arm of the educational system. I support all the efforts of the library. We manage a budget at the Sloatsburg Library. We direct most of our activities towards the seniors of the community, the youth of the community. We just designed and opened, as you may know and may not know, a beautiful teen room to keep the teens off of the streets, to bring them into the library. The library, as I stated, is a learning institution. We, as you know, most of the schools are now without librarians. We are looking to do as much as we can at the Sloatsburg Public Library to serve all of the children in the community by the programs we provide. We have a great library staff. We have a great library director who's involved with the children. And I think the volunteerism that we're doing as trustees at the Sloatsburg Library will only lead into what I can do on the school board. I'm looking forward, if I'm elected, to continue that. Also, as the chairman of the revitalization committee in Sloatsburg, we all know that the communities are diminishing. People are leaving the communities. Beautifying the communities will bring people into our communities. Attracting businesses, attracting new residents. It will only, hopefully, raise the numbers of our public schools. I'm looking forward, as I stated also in my opening, looking forward to working with the trustees here at the Board of Education to help lift the enrollment in our schools. Without the schools in our communities, you might as well say goodbye to your communities. They are the pillars of our community.
Thank you. Okay, Tom, same question for you. Please explain how your current volunteer activities will help with your role as a trustee.
Well, I'm gonna reflect back to the Police Youth Academy that was run through the Ramapo Police Department. I was fortunate to participate in that. I recruited Suffern High students. The program was open to the three high schools within the district, that being Ramapo High School and Spring Valley High School. And we would bring the kids, originally it was 12 weeks and it got cut back due to budget issues. We would bring them through different issues, an hour or two each week on various topics. We would do defensive training one night. We'd bring them up to the wrestling room at Suffern High School, and we would teach them different maneuvers that the police use to subdue a suspect or an arrestee. Further, we took them to Sing Sing prison, where we actually toured the prison and met with inmates, and they were able to see how easy it is. That's what the program was, to see how easy it is to end up in a situation in Sing Sing, because they didn't listen. They didn't take that second chance or third chance. So it was an education for me as well as the kids. And I was able to do that the past 17 years while the SRO at the high school. Thank you.
Okay. Paul, what qualities do you feel that you have what qualities do you have that you feel makes you qualified for this position?
I guess over almost 40 years in education, I know the ins and outs. Though I know that the board doesn't dive into the individual schools. There are principals at each of the schools. There's the assistant superintendent of schools. There's the superintendent of schools. Those are the people who work with the every day. But I'm a team player. I'm a good listener. Don't ask my wife that question, but I believe I am a good listener. I like to hear both sides of an issue before I make a decision. And I feel that whatever decision is reached, it needs to be supported. And it may not be the decision that I want, but if that's the majority of the people there and I was not able to convince them that I feel that they should have gone the other way, then I'm there to support. I'd also like to but I know that kids come first. Once again, it's kids, and I know kids are not high school. Kids are young men and women, but they do come first, and they will always come first. Their safety, the atmosphere that they're in, from the hours of 7:30 until all depending 3:30, 3:45, all of the extracurricular activities, all of those things, they have to be continued, and if that's what's best for kids, best for students, then that's what needs to be continued.
Thank you. Darryl, same question. What qualities do you feel you have that makes you qualified for this position?
Alrighty. I sound a lot like like Paul here. I would like to start, not a bad thing, no. I'd like to start off by saying I am a great listener. I pride myself on being able to get along with almost everyone. I give people a chance. I lend a helping hand wherever I can. As you know, there's no I in team. Everyone works together. I like to work together to bring one outcome. As he stated, there's not always the right answer. There's not always the wrong answer. We work together, but when a decision has been made, you stand on it and you push forward. It is for the good, unless it would not have been made. Right now, as I stated, I'm an executive referral manager in the advocacy department of Mercedes-Benz USA. My job on a day-to-day basis is to advocate for customers. I advocate in the southeast, the southern, and northeast region of the states. I have 87 dealerships with customers calling in. We're the manufacturer of the vehicles and the wholesale distributors. Customers may have problems with their vehicles. The dealerships are independently owned. They may not help them. I advocate for those customers. I look to advocate for the students, the teachers, the administrators in this district, and also the citizens of this community advocating for people. I'm great at advocating. I really would look forward to having the opportunity. Another great quality is identifying issues that need to be addressed. I'm not a loudmouth, but if I see something that needs to be done, I pick up on that and I look towards making a solution to make things better for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this one's going to be 2.5 minutes. Okay, this is a two-part question for each of you, and we'll give you 2.5 minutes on this question if you need it. Is there a particular issue that is motivating you to run for the board, and what do you see as the most important issue facing our district at this time? Darryl, we'll let you go first.
The first issue is, it's already in legislation, the tax collection. The town of Ramapo is charging the taxpayers $1 million to collect school taxes. I think that's a concern. Everyone wants to save money. That's a great way to save money in the school district. By allowing the schools or the district to collect their own taxes. That's an issue that really is near and dear to my heart. Also, another issue I have is I support what is going on with helping to save money with transportation. I know it's a hot topic. The transportation issue is something that needs to be looked at. I think it's fair what's happening right now. It's very touchy. The safety of the kids are really the main thing. Getting these kids to and from schools is very important. But we have to be fiscally responsible in the transportation that we provide. And to continue to work on that, if there's an issue, I look forward to doing that work.
Okay. Okay, same question, Paul. Is there a particular issue that is motivating you to run for the board, and what do you see as the most important issue facing the district at this time?
Okay, there's not one issue. The reason why I'm running for the board is I've had a taste of what the district is, and it tasted great. And I can't get it out. I can't get rid of that taste. I want to continue to help the students, those that I haven't met, those that I have met. I just want to see this continue. As I said at the beginning, you live in an outstanding school district. It's not perfect. Show me something that is, other than a math problem or an example. But besides that, this district really offers a lot, and it gives the students a lot. It has an incredible staff, teachers and administrators, nurses, secretaries. The secretaries are incredible. I'm sure if you've ever gone into a school to pick up your child early, the secretaries know exactly who your child is. They know who your child is. They know them by name. They know them by face. They are incredible. These are the people who are in our schools, and I like to say our schools. And I'd like to be one of the people who is there to support them as a school board member. Now, there are two issues. One of them is taxes. We pay our taxes. We, all of us do. We pay a lot in taxes. We want to decrease that. How do we decrease it? Well, by getting a larger tax base. How do we get a larger tax base? We get a larger tax base by having some major industries come in. We lost Novartis. That was awful. But it wasn't anything that we did. They chose to move out, move on. Would have been great that Lego would come in, but obviously maybe that was a pie in the sky type of thing, and it didn't happen. But there are some other ways that we can bring other
20
companies,
seconds.
okay, and other businesses in. And then the next part is to get young families to start moving into the district. As some of us older, and I'm older, but I'm not moving out. We just got here. As families who don't have children now and who are looking to maybe move and go to warmer climates, we need to have young families come in, and we have to make it very inviting for them so that the enrollment within the schools at least remains the same, if not even increases.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom? Okay, is there a particular issue that is motivating you to run for the board, and what do you see as the most important issue facing the district at this time?
As far as motivation, I think I know. In fact, I do know. We're driving a Cadillac. We're in a Cadillac. This is, without a doubt, one of the best schools in the state. It's in the top in the nations. Okay? And we have a faculty, an administration that is superb. They're dedicated to the kids. They're there after schools. They're there pulling them. I see it every day. The faculty is there getting them through those APs. They're on weekends. They're writing letters of recommendation. That was there in 1970 when I was through here, and it's here today in 2017. So that's what I want to continue. As far as an issue, I think we have a problem with enrollment. What are we going to do? And we got to work as a community together to determine, get people in here. And is that increasing programs? I don't know. But let's work together and see what we can develop. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next question. Darrell, we'll start with you. What issues do you believe our district needs to address in our academic programs?
I would love to see the language programs come around, offer more language programs. Which language, I'm not sure, but we all know the English language pretty well. Chinese, Spanish, some other language programs. The literacy program would be a great outreach to continue. I also think we need to continue to focus on the special education needs of the students and the population. Most kids, all kids aren't academically here. We would love for them to be, but I think we really need to focus more on special education in the schools.
Paul, same question.
Okay.
What issues do you believe our district needs to address in our academic programs?
I agree with Darrell in terms of special education. That's what I have my master's in. That's what I taught for 15 years at Spring Valley, and 5 years before that at both an elementary school in New York City and at Poughkeepsie High School. The needs of all of the students have to be met, whether they're special education students, whether they're regular ed students, whether they're ELL students. And luckily, the state now has mandated school districts to make sure that they have teachers who are ELL certified, where they work with the subject teachers and are there to help those students who are learning English as their new language. So the state has done something right. We have to give them credit where credit is due. So I think those are the things. Suffern High School offers great academic courses, the AP courses, the Syracuse courses, better known as SUPA, all of the other college courses. The elementary schools are just coming across with all kinds of courses, things that 5 or 6 years ago didn't even exist, and they have them now. Just using Montebello as an example, the teachers there have students writing books and publishing books in grades 1 and 2. I don't know about you, but I can tell you that in 1 and 2, those grades for me, I was happy to write my name. I was learning word families. I was not writing a book. And these students are. And they're having them published. And they present them to the classes. So it's an incredible job that the elementary school teachers are doing, thanks to the leadership of the administrators at all of the elementary schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom, what issues do you believe our district needs to address in our academic programs?
Well, I too agree with the gentleman. We got to keep our kids involved. If we lose the kids, they're going to end up in trouble. I know I got in trouble. I played football and I wrestled. Come to spring, I was in trouble. You know, I think we know that. So yeah, programs. I know we're developing some new programs at the high school, college level. I would certainly support that. Going off base a little bit, I know you said academically, but even after school activities, there's got to be things for kids to do. They can't be going home sitting on the computers. So do we have to take a look at after school activities such as maybe additional tutoring stuff for the kids that are struggling? Maybe that's something that we could address also. Thank you.
Okay. Darrell, if elected, How do you plan to participate within a non-cohesive board, and what changes would you like to see the Board of Education make?
Can you read the first question again?
If elected,
Uh-huh.
how do you plan to participate within a non-cohesive board?
Oh,
Second part is, what changes would you like to see the Board of Education make?
alrighty. As stated earlier, I bring people together. I feel like and I'm not blowing my own horn. I've been told that I light up a room when I walk in. We all have different issues. It's like growing up at home. You have to find a way to get along. You find that common ground. You absolutely have to. Now, if there is a concern or issue, we all have to remember that we're here for one goal, and that's the children of our schools. We have to get along. We are the examples of the children of our schools. You can probably look and see at some of the board meetings, not saying it's the school board here, but on some boards you can see the divisiveness. People are sitting away from each other, they're smirking at each other. You don't want that. We all must get along. I do not like to get involved in back chitter-chatter. If there's something to discuss, discuss it. We're all adults. Let's bring it out, work together, and then move on from there. And the second part, I'm sorry.
What changes would you like to see the Board of Education make?
Right now, I'm not so sure that I know of any changes. I really would like to applaud the school board right now. They're doing a great job with technology. I've watched the board meetings online. Technology is there. It's in the schools. I think they're doing a great job with that. So right now, I don't want to sit from here and throw stones at the board. I don't have any criticism at this time.
Thank you. Okay, Paul, if elected, how do you plan to participate within a non-cohesive board, and what changes would you like to see the Board of Ed make?
Okay, I'm going to be very blunt. I hope no one minds. And if you do, I'm still going to be very blunt. You don't know what a non-cohesive board is. I've been to board meetings, not here, but next door. That's a non-cohesive board. 15 years ago, it was a non-cohesive board. This is not a non-cohesive board. It's okay for people to have differences of opinion. That's a good thing. When the board meets, and I guess it's an executive session, and those board members that are here, you can hear me out. I'm assuming it's what you meet for the first hour before you have the public meeting. And if it's not called an executive session, whatever you want to call it, maybe it needs to be a little bit longer. That would be a change, so that everything can be presented. And so instead of it starting at 6:30 and the board meeting starting at 7:30, maybe the board meeting should start at 8. Or the executive session starts at 6. Maybe you need an hour and a half and not an hour. And you get through all of the discussions and all of the possible disagreements that you may have, but that's okay. And not every vote has to be a 7-0 vote. If it's 5-2, that's fine. If it's 6-1, that's fine. If it's 4-3, that's fine. We have a Supreme Court with 9 members. How many of you remember when it's been a 9-0 vote on the Supreme Court? Probably none of us do, or maybe 1 or 2 issues, but not too many. Most of them are 5-4 or 6-3. So it's okay to disagree as long as we can agree to disagree and to present our best selves in front of the entire school district. So if I am elected, Darrell, I don't think you are tooting your own horn, but I'm someone who also likes to bring people together. I'm an up person. I'm not one of these people who frowns. Life is wonderful. It's a Wonderful Life, my favorite movie. And I would love to work with the people on the board. I know many of them, some of them when they were very young. not to mention anyone who's here. But anyway, I would be willing to work and to work things out, because that's what a board does. You work things out, you come to an agreement, and hopefully the district gains from anything and everything that the board does. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Tom, for you. If elected, how do you plan to participate within a non-cohesive board? And what changes would you like to see the Board of Ed make?
All right. Well, as a police officer for 40 years, I've been in situations, I've been in domestic situations where I've gone into the situation and they don't want me there, but I'm here and I have to resolve this issue. And what I found that works is listening. And if you listen to people and you let them know where you're coming from, it usually is a peaceful resolve. And that's what I would do on the board. I would try to resolve things. Again, as the gentleman said, not everybody's going to agree, but we can agree to disagree. I got to vote with my conscience, and that's what I promise I'll do. I'll listen, and then I'll make my decision, and we don't have to agree, but you'll understand where I'm coming from. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Back to 2. Okay, we're back to a 2-minute time limit. Darrell, on the first day you are sworn in, should you be elected to the Ramapo Central Board of Education, you are expected to vote on important matters that affect the children and the district right there and then. How do you plan to prepare yourself for taking this grand responsibility right from day one?
First off, I would most likely like to meet with most of the board members to see what's at hand, including with the superintendent, Dr. Adams, to see what's going on. I would also, the president of the board, I would meet with her to see what the issues are so I can prepare myself to read up on it. I'm a great reader. I love to read and study the issues at hand so I can make an informed decision. I don't believe in raising my hand to say yes unless I know what I'm voting on. So I would reach out to the current board members to bring myself up to speed on what we're going to be voting on to make an informed decision.
All right, well, I can't now. Okay, Paul, on the first day you are sworn in, should you be elected to the Ramapo Central Board of Ed, you are expected to vote on important matters that affect the children in the district right then and there. How do you plan to prepare yourself for taking on this responsibility from day one?
Okay, I don't know the procedure of what happens to a board member when they first become elected and then they're sworn in. But I do know the procedure that the board members receive a packet of information prior to the meeting. Meetings are on Tuesday. I'm assuming the board packet goes out on a Thursday, or you pick it up via email. And if there was an issue that was going to be voted on, and they knew that I was going to be sworn in, then that information would be given to me, and I would have that information. And at the meeting prior to the public meeting, once again, whatever you want to name it, I would be listening, and I would give my opinion, and then there would probably be some type of an understanding among the 7 board members, and I would vote on that issue, and it may be in favor of it or it may be against it, but I would make my vote heard, and I would make sure that I would have all of the information needed to make an intelligent vote.
Thank you. Tom, on the first day you're sworn in, should you be elected to the Ramapo Central Board of Ed, you're expected to vote on important matters that affect the children in the district right then and there. How do you plan to prepare yourself for taking this responsibility right from day one?
I think what you have to do is try to get as much homework done in that time as you can, possibly. If it's not available, is it possible to adjourn the meeting so that you can reach and get the information required. I don't know anything that is so earth-shattering that it has to be done then and there. You know, time is a wonderful thing. And I think to do it correctly, you have to have your homework done. So I would try to have, I think, the issue adjourned to another meeting. Thank you.
Okay. We're gonna switch the order up a little. Paul,
Sure.
with declining enrollment, what do you think is the best way to attract people into the area?
Lower the taxes, wouldn't that be nice? If we can, once again, increase the tax base so that it takes the pressure off of the families who are living here now, the homeowners, that would help, and that would bring young families of public school children into the school district. Send out flyers. I mean, I know the district is bringing in students from other school districts, and I don't know how many of you know that, but you should. I know that Steve Walker is very high on getting students from other districts and getting the information out there to some of our neighboring districts in Jersey and in, I guess, in Orange County, and to have them come here. I know that at the, why am I drawing a complete blank? STEAM, don't forget art, STEAM. Okay, I know that at the STEAM, that there were parents from as much as 20, 30 miles away who wanted to see what Ramapo Central had to offer, and they were very, very impressed. Obviously, they don't want their child on a 30-mile trip every day coming to school and going home, but the district is trying to get students in, but really, if we're going to increase the enrollment here, we're going to need to lower taxes. We're going to make it much more inviting for people who have heard of our district, and if they haven't heard, then we have to start beating our own drum and maybe blowing our own horn to really to get people to come and to move in here, because it is a wonderful district, and I know that there are teachers here, there are staff members here. It is a great place to work, and I think your children are getting a terrific education. And if they're not, you have to let others know. Besides board members, let the people within the schools know. Thank you.
Okay. Actually, this should have been a two-parter, so I'm going to continue with you and then we'll move on. Going in conjunction with that question, what can the district do to attract students on a tuition basis now that we are facing a declining enrollment?
Okay, I think it's about $14,000, and someone might know, and if you do know, anyway, I think that's the cost of tuition for anyone who is living out of the school district to have their child come here. Do we want to charge them less? That would have to be a major discussion. Do I want to charge them less? I don't know. Do I want to win the lottery and give the money to Ramapo Central? Not a bad idea. But I don't plan on winning the lottery because I have to buy lottery tickets to do it. We just have to get the students here, and if we make it attractive enough, the money's not going to make a difference. And my wife always kind of kids me about this, but I kind of say, If it's $1,000, if you spread it over 5 years, it's only $200 a year, and if you spread that $200 over 12 months, it's only, I don't want the wives to get angry with me here, but if you keep on dividing it down, it comes out to be pennies. But it is money, and to have that large amount of money to shell out at once, it's going to keep some people away. But once again, it's the education of their child, and that's pretty important.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Darrell, the two-parter. With declining enrollment, what do you think is the best way to attract people to the area? And what can the district do to attract students on a tuition basis due to that declining enrollment?
I think with the way social media is right now, I think we need to go back to blowing our own horns. Back to that again. Put it out there through social media, through working with your local real estate offices. They have people coming in to the area saying, what's the schools like? Have presentations at the local real estate offices to show what the schools are doing. Facebook, so many other feeds that are out there. I think we really need to be out in the forefront with technology and letting other people know what we have to offer. Making our communities more attractive, as stated earlier. People drive around and they take a look to see what the school district communities look like. Making sure that it's very attractive with nice local businesses, restaurants, clean properties. It will bring people in with children. If they don't have children, we'll welcome them also. It all goes to the tax base of keeping our schools intact. Now, when it comes to raising, the second question was raising?
What can the district do to attract students on a tuition basis since the declining enrollment is what we're facing?
I would hate to say lower the tuition. I think we should continue with the tuition base. Just letting people know what is available, the qualifications of the teachers that are here, the staff members, and the administrators, and what our board is doing to attract people to the area is attractive within itself.
Thank you. Okay, Tom, with declining enrollment, what do you think is the best way to attract people to the area? And what can the district do to attract students on a tuition basis now that we are facing the declining enrollment?
Well, I think we're on the cusp of a new program, this pre-K program. I'm excited to hear about that. Hopefully my granddaughter will be fortunate enough to win the lottery and be enrolled this year. I would like to see that program expand to all the communities within the village, within the villages, within the school district here. As far as tuitions, and I really don't have an answer for that. I think that's a community thing that we would have to come together and see what our options are. I know there's a big community going in Tuxedo. Tuxedo School District cannot hold, they don't have the equipment or the staff to take on the 1,100 houses or homes that are being built up there. Is that an option for us to look at? And I believe they are looking at it. I believe administration, Mr. Walker, is specifically looking and talking with Tuxedo at this time. I don't know the legal ramifications of that. I don't know if it goes to the governor, what that would entail, but we should pursue that. And I would be in favor of pursuing that and keeping this district going. This district is known as a Cadillac. I said it before. We don't have to advertise. People know about Round Post Central. So let's continue that. It'll sell itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this is a three-part question.
Oh, boy.
Do we have an hour for this?
You get 3 minutes.
A minute for each.
Okay, We are going to start with you, Daryl.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to read all three, and if you need it repeated, let me know. Are you familiar with special education law? What is your philosophy of special education? What do you think is the greatest challenge in our district regarding special education?
I am not familiar with special education law. If that is something I need to brush up on, I will become familiar with it. I cannot say that I'm familiar with it right now. The second question was?
What is your philosophy on special education?
My philosophy, as I stated earlier, each child learns on a different level. Not all kids are born with the gift of learning at a fast pace. Special education, the children need that one-on-one time, most likely to identify their special needs. I think it's very, very, very important to identify special needs children at an early age and work with them to bring them up to speed to be able to compete in this competitive world. Everyone, like I said, learn on a different level, but I really, really look forward to keeping all the special ed programs and even building on the special ed programs within the district.
Okay. Okay. Tom,
That
you're up.
was it. I thought there was one more.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. You're absolutely
Yeah,
right.
that's one.
That was the philosophy. What do you think is the greatest challenge in our district regarding special ed?
Right now, I'm not familiar with any challenges in the district with special education.
Okay. Okay, Tom.
Okay, special ed, I too, I have no idea, but I do know the school has an attorney, Mr. Fromson. And that would be Mr. Fromson's job to keep us on keel with the law. So I would refer that to Mr. Fromson and see where we go from there. And we would seek his advice.
Okay. What is your philosophy on special education?
Over the 17 years that I've been at the high school, I've seen the program grow. And it's grown quite a bit. Now we have not only the teacher in the room in a small environment, but we have teachers' aides in there. And this is also helping the kids. I would continue in that asset. It's an asset to the student, and I would continue to help with those programs. I would support those programs. This is what the kids need. This is what this district's about. Success of our students, success of our children. And I would definitely support that.
Okay. What do you think is the greatest challenge in our district regarding special ed?
That's a real good question. I wish I had the answer, okay? And I'll be honest with you, I don't.
Okay. Paul,
Yes.
are you familiar with special education law?
Oh.
What is your
gotta go-
philosophy of
okay.
special education? What do you think is the greatest challenge in our district regarding special ed?
Okay, when you say special ed law, obviously every student is entitled to an appropriate education, no matter what level they're on. Any new laws that have come up other than ESSA, which is from No Child Left Behind, which is from the 1965 Elementary and Secondary Education Act. We can keep on going back, but actually we can't go back prior to 1965. But I am somewhat familiar with certain education law. I know everything about an IEP. I used to write them. I used to follow them. I used to make changes to them as students met their challenges that they had and they reached their goals. So I have somewhat of an understanding on special ed. In terms of my philosophy about special ed, whatever works. And Tom brought up a very good point at the high school and also in some of the elementary schools, in some of the classes that are if you will, a mixed class with regular students and some special education students. There may be a teacher and an assistant teacher, but the assistant teacher helps everyone, and the teacher helps everyone. And if you were to walk in, you wouldn't know which student is the special education student, and you wouldn't know which student is not the special education student, because everyone's being helped. The challenge as far as special education, there are many challenges. You know, what happens after a child ages out at 21? What are they going to do next? You know, what is there for them to do? All depending. Now, when you say special ed, there's resource room, and there's students who have multiple problems, multiple handicaps. I worked with emotionally handicapped. We were at first called emotionally disturbed, and then they changed the title to emotionally handicapped. And when I told the students that, they were very happy. They now thought that they weren't disturbed anymore, they were only handicapped. But I will tell you that with
I'm not sure what you said.
I'm not sure what you said.
Sorry, Daddy.
No, that's okay. No, that's fine. Okay, so we were ED. That's. Can I have more than 3 minutes? We were ED, emotionally disturbed. Then the state said, okay, you're no longer emotionally disturbed. You're now emotionally handicapped. Wow. Yeah, that sounded better. We're no longer disturbed. It was the same students, and this is in a high school. And there was growth, by the way. I had some students who were very tough, the students who no one wanted in their classroom because they had real emotional problems. And one of them went through it all. And by the time she was a senior, she was in resource room. Okay, a few minutes left. To make a long story short, she gives me a call 3 years after she graduates from high school. Mr. Shapiro, I'm getting married. I said to her, that's wonderful. She said, I need you to do me a favor. I said, what is it? She said, would you walk me down the aisle? So if you're not a teacher, you will never know that bond that you get with students, ever. And you never know the impact that you have on students. Positive or negative, but certainly positive. So, are there challenges to special ed? Yes, you know, there are, and we have to make sure that we stay ahead of the curve on that. Sorry, Anita.
No problem.
And everyone else.
This is actually directed directly to Darrell. Do you have children in the district?
I do not have children in the district.
That was an easy answer.
No time.
But I work to support all the children that are in our schools. All the children.
Okay. This is directed towards Paul Shapiro and Tom Donnelly. Okay, we'll go with Paul first. As a parent of a Ramapo Central teacher, how do you plan to assure...
Is this prior to tonight or after tonight? After what you said? I just want to know.
I'm sorry, I'm going to take 1 second just
Sure.
to reread this. Okay. As a parent of a Ramapo Central teacher, how do you plan to assure taking unbiased actions and vote as a member of the Board of Education, knowing some of these actions or votes may at some time not be in the best interest of the teachers union and/or teachers of this district?
That's an excellent question, and whoever wrote it is right on target. That's a great question. I've been a teacher. I've been an administrator. Both sides of the coin. I'm going to vote, and it all has to do with what's best for kids. And if it's not great for the teachers, for whatever reason, though if it's great for kids, it's probably great for teachers too. But if for some reason it doesn't, I mean, that's just the way it goes. I support the teachers, I support the administrators, I support the families I support the parents, I support the kids, I support my fellow board members, I support the town of Ramapo with my taxes. But I'm going to vote to make sure that kids come first. And even though I am a father of a Ramapo Central teacher, if she doesn't speak to me, it will not be the first time. I've been known by her and her sister as Dr. Obnoxious, Mr. Annoying, though I was never a doctor, but I guess somehow they figured that kind of fit in, so. You have no fear. It's not going to be whatever's good for teachers, that's the way I'm voting. Whatever's good for kids, that's the way I'm voting.
Thank you. Okay, actually, Tom, this question is for you. Could you be unbiased with the tax dollars regarding salary?
I guess you guys seen the town of Ramapo's salary list lately. We're not hurting. Listen, these teachers do a fantastic job. They're dedicated. And I honestly believe we are in the lap of luxury. They're not killing us in salaries. Some of you may disagree. I've heard over the years, you know, it's they have summers off. They don't really have summers off. They're always updating. They're going to school. They have master's degrees. They have 60 credits plus. They have doctorates. This is a fantastic place. I think they're getting a fair salary. I would support their salaries. And I would continue to help them. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Because I want to keep the level of professionalism here. If we drop our standards, well, we're going back to a Volkswagen. We got air conditioning here. You got to pay for the air conditioning. So I don't know if it's being unbiased or biased, but I know what we have, and I want to continue that. Thank you.
Okay. This question is for all three gentlemen. Tom, we'll start with you.
Okay.
It's a lengthy question, so bear with me for a second. Okay, what are your thoughts on the current proposed budget? As a school board member, where would you make cuts? And what is your position on managing the budget and keeping taxes as low as possible to retain the current residents?
Wow, that's a lot of information there. I've been to the past couple of meetings. I don't think it's an unfair budget. It's within the guidelines of the state, of the governor, 2%. I think we're underneath the 2% cap. Again, we have programs here that are untouchable. You know, somebody has to pay for it. And do we want to keep this quality up? I think that's why we're here. I think that's why we're all in this room. I really do. Somebody's got to pay it, and we're willing to do that. I've been here for 55 years. My parents paid the bill. I'm paying the bill. I'm not looking to leave. I'm willing to pay the bill for my grandchildren because I know what's here. So is it an unfair budget? I don't think so. I think it's something we have to live with. We've got to support these programs. We've got to keep the activities going. And I'll be a proponent of that if elected. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Paul?
Yes, can you read it?
Yes. What are your thoughts on the current proposed budget? As a school board member, where would you make cuts, and what is your position on managing the budget and keeping taxes as low as possible to retain the current residents?
Okay, I agree with Tom. It's a fair budget. You have to take a look at everything. You have to go line by line. It's not an easy task. The board members, not just this board, but every board and every school district has to go through and go through the budget line by line to see where cuts can be made. And if by some chance there are some cuts that can be made that don't affect the quality of education, then fine. But I also know that there are some areas where I think that we're being, as someone just recently said to me, and it's very true, we're being penny wise and pound foolish. And we have to look into that too. If we want to have someone who's in charge of creating a fair budget, then we want that person here, and we want that person here not just every few weeks or just around budget time, but we want them here all the time, because they get a better picture and they see everything rather than just seeing everything within a very skewed angle. Now, hopefully, it doesn't increase the budget, but if it does, it may be money that's well spent. And if it increases the budget slightly, that's fine, but there may be areas where we can find some ways to cut it. Tom is more knowledgeable than I am, being here for as long as he has been and has gone through the system. He just knows how great the district is, and that's very important. And I know it's tough to see when you're living within it, but when you've been outside and you've seen another district that at one time was certainly equally as great, believe it or not, and isn't now, that's tough. And I don't want that happening here. No one does. And so we have to make sure that Ramapo Central stays as a top district throughout the state, throughout the region. Thanks.
Darrell, what are your thoughts on the current proposed budget? As a school board member, where would you make cuts? And what is your position on managing the budget and keeping taxes as low as possible to retain current residents?
I support the current budget. We are at the tax cap. We're not going over the tax cap. It's within the limits. There's a 1.2 tax levy increase. I support that. I think we need those tax dollars to maintain this great district. As it comes to cuts, I don't know of any cuts that needs to be made right now. If there are cuts, I would work with the board to see if we have to make cuts, then let's see where we can pull from to fill in where the cuts are being made from. That's the talents of a great board. If you have to cut, then let's pull from somewhere else to support what's being eliminated. We don't want anything taken off of the table. This district is a great district. And you guys, we all, I think, have done a great job with supporting what is being presented to us as taxpayers. I look forward to always looking to see where we can save money. Everyone loves the savings, but sometimes when you save, you're losing out. We don't want to lose out on the educational process of this great district. You get what you pay for, and tax dollars go for great services.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to start this one off with Paul. Will you be an independent thinker on the board?
Well, suppose I said no. How would that?
Probably wouldn't go.
Oh, so the answer is yes. Oh, yes. I am an independent. In fact, when the first time I registered, when I was able to vote, I registered, boy, I'm going to be an independent. Smart move, except you can't vote in any primaries. So that went that. I am an independent thinker. I'm not going to be beholden to any group, to any people. I'm going to be beholden to myself. Unfortunately for me, I have to look at this face every morning when I get up. When I look at that face, I'm going to have to say, you know, have you done your best? Did I do my best? And hopefully I can say to myself, not that I talk to myself, but hopefully I can say to myself, I have done my best. I'm going to think. I'm going to think on my own. That's not to say I'm not going to listen to what other people are saying. I'm going to hear them. I'm going to listen and then make a decision that I feel that it's one that I can live with, and that it's for the best for the school district It helps children, it helps young men and women in the high school. And while I'm thinking about it, and this goes off, and I really don't care, how many of you have gone to the high school? Raise your hand, please.
You mean has attended?
No. To visit. Tell me, with those hands raised, isn't it a great place? I mean, it really is. And yet, we probably just take it for granted. We shouldn't take it for granted. It is an incredible place. The unit lunch, what goes on during the unit lunch, forget about, okay, children are, oh my God, they're eating on the floor. That's okay. That's all right, because within 15 minutes, have you ever been there 15 minutes after the lunch? When the halls are completely cleaned. The cafeteria tables are completely cleaned. It is an incredible place. So if you visited, that's great. If you've been there during unit lunch, that's great. But be there 15, 20 minutes just in case someone's absent and they don't have enough people cleaning up. But really, it's incredible. And actually, they don't need to have that many people cleaning up because the students clean up. And why do the students clean up? That's okay. Because there are staff members, there are teachers who are there, who have duty during lunch, and they make sure that the students take pride in their school. And that's what they do. Really, this is a great place. Take it from someone who knows. Thank you.
Tom, will you be an independent thinker on the board?
I think you have to be an independent thinker, but I think you have to have big ears. I think that's key. You got to take the feedback from what's out there and make a decision. And again, over the years, I've made decisions that people didn't like. To the simple thing of giving somebody a ticket. You know, I'm wrong, they're right. You know, they didn't have to do that. You know, so some of the decisions, if I'm on there, I'm going to make, you people may not like. But independently, and with the knowledge that I have, I'm going to try to do the best for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Darrell, will you be an independent thinker on the board?
Absolutely, I will be an independent thinker. However, that does not mean that I'll work independently. I work together with the board. We all have to come together as one. The board is one. I'll work together with them to share what my thoughts are. And yes, I am an independent thinker.
Thank you. Okay, Tom, we'll start this question with you. With drug addiction escalating in the district, how do you plan to address this?
That's a serious question. Is there drugs in the high school? Is there drugs in the middle school? Yeah, there is. Education. I know there's been programs. We brought in Mr. Herron, who described the life of hell. We've had a local student here, I don't want to name names, but a local student came in who had a substance abuse problem. And he came in and spoke to his peers, telling them what a downfall it is, how terrible it is. But how do we educate kids? Because their attitude is, it's not going to happen to me. But it does happen. So it's on us to educate the kids and keep them, maybe have more programs. I don't know. Programs aren't always the answer. It's up to the parents too. You know, there's steps that we have to take as parents to keep our kids safe, to know where they are, to see what they're doing at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. What 17, 18-year-old kid should be out at 8 o'clock, at 2 o'clock in the morning? At 12 o'clock, the movies are closed. What's going to happen at that time? Nothing but trouble. Accidents happen. I've been there. I've buried students. It's a terrible thing. The worst day of my life is 7 years ago. I won't forget that day. I don't want to see that happen. So we have to educate our kids. We have to talk with our kids. We have to let them know. We got to drill it into them every day. I try to do it at the school, at the high school. But you can see, it's not me. You're not talking to the right guy. Yeah, I am talking to the right guy. Else I wouldn't have this conversation with you. I've done it. Let's work together and do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Darrell, With the drug addiction escalating in the district, how do you plan to address this?
I think we need, like Tom said, the education, after-school programs. We need more mentors. We need to develop mentorships. Reach out to the community. Reach out to those drug counselors. Have them come in, work with the kids after school. As I stated at the library, we have started the teen room. Invite these kids in. Get them off of the streets. We need to also have programs where the teachers that are in the school system, that are in the classrooms with these children, know the signs. Be able to identify when a child is somewhat dopey looking, I would say. You can identify them. You can see it. As a liaison officer and one of the first DARE officers in the schools in South Carolina, it's the education that makes a difference. Teaching them ways to say, how to say no. I was on the Big Brother, Big Sister board. I was on the board of the drug campaign in Charleston County to address the addiction. I think there are 35 opium deaths in this district. It's not a secret. If we keep it a secret, this drug problem will move forward. We all need to put our heads up, don't put our heads down. We need to learn to hit it face on. And if we do not, it will take over our communities. Have you ever driven through a community where there's drug dealers on each corner? I was a drug enforcement officer. I was proud to make arrests to take these people off the streets. And they pride themselves on campuses like this. We also, as a detective and a school liaison officer, I worked closely with the children. I developed that rapport. The kids used to come to me, and I don't want to call them informants. I had that rapport where they would come to me and say, there's a party this weekend, there'll be a lot of drinking, a lot of drugs. I would let the police officers in that area know, please drive by this residence. There'll be a party tonight, the parents are out of town. So with all of us getting involved, and as a board, if we can identify and work with the educators in the system to really, really bring this focus to the board and to the schools, we will knock this thing out of the park. And I mean, we need to knock it out of the park. Drugs are no good for anyone. And prescription drugs also. We all think about the illegal drugs, it's the prescription drugs in our cabinets. Your kids get a hold of those things. We need to really, really get a hold of it. And I'm a strong supporter of getting rid of drugs.
Thank you. Paul, with drug addiction escalating in the district, how do you plan to address this?
Okay, both Darrell and Tom, I agree with both of you, and Tom, same thing as you, Darrell. People come to him, keep this amongst yourselves, but they tell him the same thing. You know, there's a party coming on, and I didn't tell you this, but so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. And Tom makes sure that all the right people know. Kids think they are supermen and superwomen. They can't get hurt. You know, they can drive when they have their licenses. They can drive as fast as they can because they're fine. They can't be injured. They're super. They can't get hurt. Obviously, we know that's not true. We have to address the problem very simply by continuing the programs that we have in schools, not only at the high school, not only at the middle school, bring it into the curriculum if we can in terms of the elementary schools, and probably just as important is to make sure that the community, the parents, we have programs for parents as well. And when the parents come, maybe we can have it when just the parents come. And then at other times have both parents and their children come as well. Because the loss of a child stinks. Absolutely stinks. It's the worst loss ever. And drug addiction takes your child away. And as Darrell said, whether it's the prescription drug or an illegal drug, they're still taken away. There are plenty of things that we've seen on YouTube, all kinds of stories, and they're all true. But once again, a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old, and certainly a 12 or 13-year-old, they can't be hurt. It's not them, but it is them. They're all vulnerable, and we don't want them to be that way. But yet that's how they feel. We felt the same way. I could do anything. Not now, but I could in the past. When I was their age, I could do anything and everything. Nothing was going to hurt me. I was made of steel. Wasn't true. So we have to address this by continuing the programs that we have, increasing the programs that we have, getting parents involved, getting the community involved, getting the parents with the students or separated and then together involved, and let them see the harshness of being addicted to a drug. It's awful. And I hope none of you have experienced it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to pose the last question to the three candidates, and after that question, they will each have a closing statement. Okay, Tom, what is your position on elementary school consolidation in the district?
To be perfectly honest, I'm not in favor of consolidating or closing any buildings. If anything, I would be a proponent of increasing the programs, keeping our schools open, increasing the programs, and I'm going to support that in every way I can. I'm not going to support closing any buildings. Believe me. Thank you.
Okay, Paul, what is your position on elementary school consolidation in the district?
Okay, I lived in a district for 42 years that consolidated schools. And I guess they felt that they had to, but maybe not. And it caused problems later on. We have to see beyond our noses or even the length of our arms. We have to see way beyond that. A consolidation of schools would not be a good thing. We have to find ways, once again, we can go back to some of the earlier questions. We want more people moving into Ramapo Central. We want to keep the numbers strong. We want public school children in Ramapo Central so that the enrollment in Montebello, at Sloatsburg, R.P. Connor, Cherry Lane, Viola, we want all of those schools to have great enrollment. If their enrollment is great, feeds into the middle school. It's great in the middle school, feeds into the high school. So we have to find ways, and by doing that, we have to find ways to lower the taxes, make it more attractive for young families with public school-age children to move into the district, and that way the enrollment's going to be strong. And talk of consolidation of schools. By the way, the state would love to have us consolidate schools. The state would even applaud and probably give us extra bucks, but it's not worth it unless a school district right next door, Tuxedo, would move into us. They would love that. They find that to be a big plus. But we shouldn't. I mean, Tuxedo come here, fine, but we shouldn't consolidate any of our elementary schools, certainly not at this time. 30 years from now, I don't know, I don't see that far. That's why I wear these, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Darrell, what is your position on elementary school consolidation in the district?
I would not support consolidating any schools. I think we're all in agreement. All of our schools need to continue to thrive. And as we stated earlier, we need to find ways to attract more families to our district to keep all of the schools open. We have some great schools, Cherry Lane being a blue ribbon school, all the other schools we need to really work to get all of our schools to come up to be like Cherry Lane Elementary School. I'm not sure who's around from Cherry Lane, but there you go. Well, we would like to have all of our schools rise to be a blue ribbon school, and I think consolidation should not be. Maybe it's talk out there that it could be, but no, I would not support that.
Thank you. Okay, we're bringing the questions to a close, and now we'll have each of you gentlemen give a brief 2-minute closing, and we'll end the forum on that note. So to start us off, Paul.
Okay, I'm glad you said closing. I thought I heard clothing. Didn't want to go there. My daughter's shaking her head, not now, Daddy. No, I'm colorblind, okay? I don't lay out my clothes. Luckily, my wife is very good with colors. And I told my students, is this part of my 2 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, well, anyway. Students always knew when there was a problem with my wife, not that there was a problem, but if there was an issue that I was having with my wife, they said, Mr. Shapiro, that doesn't match. I said, I don't know, because I'm colorblind. I would be honored to serve on the Ramapo Central School Board. I want to be involved. I want to continue to be involved. It was a pleasure working with the administrators at Suffern High School. In a sense, Teresa and I worked together, but I worked with the other 4 elementary school principals and with the middle school principal, Mr. Fox, going to all of the superintendent meetings. We have excellent people here. We have excellent educational leaders. We have excellent teachers. We have excellent staff members who support the students, what they do on a daily basis. And one of them is here today who cares for each and every one of the students, whether they come in with a sniffle, whether they come in and they need an extra pack of tissues, whether they have a boo-boo on their knee. It doesn't matter. She cares, she cares, she cares. And it's not just at Montebello, it's at the other 4 elementary schools as well. We care. I mean, if people didn't care, then why are you in this educational field? They care about education. What more can we ask for? We need to keep it strong at Ramapo Central. And I hope to work with the other members of the school board to keep it strong. I want everyone to go out to vote for the budget, for the 2 propositions. Does everyone know about the 2 propositions as well? All right, raise your hand if you don't know. Okay, I will tell you this, it doesn't cost you a dime, not even a nickel, not even a penny. So vote yes for each of the propositions as well as for the school board. Get your neighbors out to vote, family, friends, very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom?
Yes. First of all, I want to congratulate these 2 gentlemen. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Tom.
On your behalf, you got a tough decision to make. There's 3 of us. I think all 3 of us answered honestly. We all have similar concerns. I think we're focused all in the same direction. You voters are going to have to make a decision. One of us ain't going to be here. All right? That's all I can say. I thank you for tonight. If I'm chosen, I guarantee that I will listen to you. I will support the programs. I will support our children, and we'll keep this ball rolling. I thank you guys for the invitation, and hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Darrell?
Yes. I'm running for the school board because I have a real passion to continue the work in this community. Through my work on the revitalization committee, I've seen the community come together as a whole for the betterment of all of our communities, the entire corridor from Earmont all the way up to Sloatsburg. I look to continue that work while on the school board, if elected, if I'm given the opportunity. I can't say I'm an expert in every area. However, I am a great listener. I will listen. I will work for everyone in this district. I know that we all want to fight for fiscal fairness. I will be your champion to make sure that we are fiscally responsible for your tax dollars while still providing the great education that you've come to this district for your children to receive. I would like to also thank you for coming out and listening to us. I'd like to thank the PTA Council for the invitation. I got the invitation early on, and I was very, very thankful to be notified about that. And let's just keep this community strong, healthy, and viable. Thank you.
I thank you all for coming and accepting the invitation and for participating. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and that's the end of the forum.